What a wonderful world together. What a wonderful world all together.
just making excuses to waste time. I'm on your side where there's no room for divide. I know you're cold from the past. We were hopeless, now I won't let you go. So just hold me tight and I won't let you down. That's a promise I'll follow through. Don't need to talk it out, don't need to chase, 'cause love's here to stay with you. Don't need to chase, 'cause love's here to stay with you. That's a promise I'll follow through. Don't need to talk it out, don't need to chase, 'cause love's here to stay with you. Don't need to chase, 'cause love's here to stay with you.
Yeah, the lights in the deep dark nights shine bright in the hardest moments. That is how you keep that spark on and on. You're the fire when I'm cold as ice. I melt like a cube in the sun. Thank God that you keep my spark on and on. And I sing, oh, oh, thinking deep inside. I sing, oh, oh, would you now, baby, would you ride with me, maybe feel more like that. Lines with me, baby, would you ride with me, maybe feel more like that. Yeah, the fan's empty. Scream and dry your tears. I would never let you down. I'll beat the shit against your fears. I pledge to your ground. I may be the one you go old with. Spend all of a peaceful life. For hands tied and facing years of just us five. And I sing, oh, oh, thinking deep inside. I sing, oh, oh, would you now, baby, would you ride with me, maybe feel more like that. Lines with me, baby, would you ride with me, maybe feel more like that. Yeah, the fan's empty.
They carried me through loss and pain. When my heart stood still for the first time, and I cried out to feel it again, no one would answer me, and it's an emergency. I just need to give it time. I just need to give it time. Yeah, I just need to give it time. I is someone who looks like and talks like you, but she'll never tell me the truth. Her words are just pretty, oh darling, what did I lose? When my heart stood still for the first time, and I cried out to feel it again, no one would answer me, and it's an emergency. When my heart stood still for the first time, and I cried out to feel it again, no one would answer me, and it's an emergency. I just need to give it time. I just need to give it time. Yeah, I just need to give it time. I just need to give it time. I just need to give it time. Yeah, I just need to give it time.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so present about that place. Even your emotions have an echo in so much space. Just that made me crazy. Just that made me crazy. Just that made me crazy.
fear of being all by myself, with no one here to share my world. No one to talk, no one to hold, no one to comfort when I'm cold. Alone in the silence of night, I can't help but feel the sands of fright. The world is quiet, the stars are bright, but I can't shake the fear in my sight. The stars are bright, but I can't shake the fear in my sight.
It's a feeling I know. There's no place to go. It's a feeling I know. There's no place to go. It's a feeling I know. Feel it deep in my bones as I'm walking alone. Will I ever have enough? I would rather be in uncertainty, 'cause money can buy me love. How come we don't see what is right in us? No, I can't really let go. I'm still learning to grow. I'm still feeling alone, walking on these hometown roads. There's no place to call home. It's a feeling I know. There's no place to go home. It's a feeling I know. Feel it deep in my bones as I'm walking alone. There's no place to go home. It's a feeling I know. Feel it deep in my bones as I'm walking alone. There's no place to go home. It's a feeling I know. Feel it deep in my bones as I'm walking alone.
When the fire's low in December, when the rain strikes on the shutters, give me hope in the darkness that I running around in the summer, like stop for a breath, coming for air, you know the finish line should still be there. Stop for a moment, lock up the sky, chasing your dreams sometimes drives you mad. Someday it is in your hands, don't put it aside, side face, maybe you can move on. Shine, shine in the darkest places. Someday it is in your hands. Don't put of this sad face. Maybe you can move on. Shine, shine in, shine, shine in the darkest places. Shine, shine in the darkest places. Shine, shine in the darkest places. When the world blows up, remember when the pain spikes face December. Give me hope in the stillest night. Running around in the summer, like stop for a minute. Do not be scared. I bet the finish line hasn't moved east west. Stop for a moment, lock up the sky. Chasing your dreams sometimes drives you mad. Someday it is in your hands. Don't put it aside, side face. Maybe you can move on. Shine, shine in the darkest places. Someday it is in your hands. Don't put it aside, side face. Maybe you can move on. Shine, shine in, shine, shine in the darkest places. Shine, shine in the darkest places. Shine, shine in the darkest places. Shine, shine in the darkest places.
Er du i Norse? Ja. Hi everyone. Can everybody hear me? It's beginning in 2 minutes, so I suggest you can find some seats. There are very nice seats upstairs, and you can see the planes and see what's going on today. Get yourself something to eat, something to drink, and find a nice spot to sit down and relax. And we'll start in a couple of minutes. And welcome everyone.
Remind me of reasons that I let you down. I push and you pull, can't win it all, but I always thought you stick around. I just needed shelter, wasn't looking for a heartbreak. I don't remember where we started in the first place. Where we started in the first place. Where we started in the first place. Just needed shelter, wasn't looking for a heartbreak. I don't remember where we started in the first place. Stayed, and I'm running round in circles while you find your way back through. I hate to say I think I know that I will never think of you when we get close. You can't help remind me of reasons that I let you down. I push and you pull, can't win it all, but I always thought you stick around. I just needed shelter, wasn't looking for a heartbreak. I don't remember where we started in the first place. Where we started in the first place. Where we started in the first place. Just needed shelter, wasn't looking for a heartbreak. I don't remember where we started in the first place. Where we started in the first place. Where we started in the first place. All down the Western Front, people line up to receive. She got power in her hand to shock you like you won't believe. Silent in the Amazon, with voltage running through her skin. Standing there with nothing on. Ooh, she gonna teach me how to swim. Ooh, girl, shock me like an electric eel. Baby girl, turn me on with your electric feel. Electric feel.
Hello, hello, hi. Hi everyone. Can everyone hear me? Yes, probably. I can hear myself loud and clearly now. Everybody has a nice seat and something to eat or drink. That's good. We are starting now, and for the people who watch online, it's welcome to you too. And it's going to be a wonderful event. And we're sending this, streaming it also, because there are some people that can't come to Norway, and it's short notice and things. So then we decided to show it to the world, and that's what we want today. We want to show to the world that we've built electric planes, 2 of them, and that we're announcing the design of the 3rd plane that we're going to build. So welcome everyone, and I'm just going to take some practicalities here. There are toilets upstairs and downstairs, and there is a bar there that you can use, and there are some emergency exits upstairs and downstairs here. We hope we don't need to use them, or the door you came in. It's like, I'm feeling already like we're on a plane announcing the takeoff procedure here. Okay, we're going to have a short break when we're halfway through the program. So you can refill your glasses, and we will do the unveiling of the new design that we are very proud of at the end, of course. Like all big grand events, that's where we do the unveiling, and a party afterwards, and a dinner for those people who sign up for that, and it's going to be here, everything. And first and foremost, I want to have a big applause for the team. Can everybody from Elfly raise their hand, that you're somewhere here? Raise your hand and wave, and then everybody can give an applause for the people who has done this. It's a team effort thing, so it's a really nice team we have of brilliant engineers and doers. And doers is something that we need to appreciate, and Tomas, which I will introduce here, has been the guy behind those 2 planes we see here. And I feel that it's very under-communicated in the public that we've actually built and flown, had first flights with 2 electric planes already. And it's not many companies and teams that can say that. And this is a team that he has been building over many years. And I'm super proud to be working with him now on this project of a commercial electric seaplane. And to give you some information, he will present the P2 to you first, and talk about that and learnings and things, and then we talk about the electric race plane we have, which is the world's fastest electric race plane that we fly with, as our knowledge. And then we're going to have a break, and we're going to have some talks from some of us, or the customers of the seaplane. We'll talk a bit about how it is in Norway and what they need, and the beautifulness of living in a fjord, by a fjord. And then we have the unveiling, and then we have the party. So, it's a hot day today, and we just get started, right? So I introduce Tomas Brødreskift, our CTO. Give him an applause.
Thank you, thank you.
And you can tell us about the P2, and I give you the stage to you.
Yeah, I actually feel like we've come really full circle right now, because 14 years ago, this plane was more or less conceived in the building next door, which is the Oslo School of Architecture and Design, where I did my master's degree on a sort of version of this. It was on paper. And coming back to this place, it is really a coincidence that we are here, because we looked at many different venues. And it just makes it a little bit special to be right here, where I lived 17 years and went to school for 5 years and ended up designing this plane, and then deciding that I was going to try to spend huge amounts of time making it work somehow. And I'm really proud and by the group that is here today. I mean, welcome to all of you. It's a lot of people I know here, some I don't know. I hope I get to know most of you. The guest list was amazing, so I guess it's a very high probability that you're sitting next to a very interesting person. So I hope you say hello once the break starts. And I'm going to try to do this a little bit in a new way. I'm going to run a sort of film in the background showing some imagery of the theme I'm talking about. So I want to start with the construction of this aircraft. And this aircraft was mostly built of carbon fiber reinforced plastic. And that entails a lot of hand labor, which means shaping the foam, putting on the laminates, and it's quite an amazing material, by the way. So I'm quite fond of that material, and I think it has a huge potential in the future because not many planes have been certified using this kind of material, so it's still quite new. And there are many hours that have been spent mixing glue and putting the glue onto fiber and planning and making sure that everything is in the right way. And I basically came home from school when I decided to do this. I moved into my father's garage, more or less. My father has been instrumental in this. He's here today, I think, up somewhere. I'm not sure. There is my father, and John, who you can see on these images, who were there with me every step of the way. And we started out in 2012 with constructing the thing, and the plane came together more or less 2017-ish, during 2017, and was at that stage more or less complete, and we started planning sort of the test regime that was going to happen after that. But I want to talk to you a little bit about like an analogy that I like a lot, which is eating an elephant, because that's what it feels like a bit to do an aircraft project. So when you do this kind of stuff every day for many years, and there's a lot of resistance, the important factor is that you concentrate on every single piece and make every single piece of that elephant interesting. You can't look at the whole elephant because that's going to demotivate you. You have to try to make every single bite an interesting bite. So if you're doing a landing gear or a control system, because this plane basically we did more or less every system, you have to look at that as a separate design task and really try to enjoy it. And that's what we tried to do, and we got through it after many years. Once we had finished our construction process, so to speak, we went into the show and tell, because we had just painted it and things. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the features of the plane, but I'm not going to talk about the features in a selling way. I'm going to talk a bit more about them as maybe why it wasn't the best idea in a way to do it this way. So one of the first features that you see on this plane is this huge glass canopy, right? And it's a great idea when you're sitting there and you're thinking about, I want a great view. And I want to be able to pull this whole thing off because I want this to be an open boat. I want to be able to go into the pier like a boat. And all of these things are great sort of ideas that you contemplate, think about, work towards. But once you understand how much effort goes into making a locking system for this thing, for instance, and that the force of the air sucking on top of this is going to be around 500 kilos of force at a max G turn, and you have to size your locking system accordingly, then you understand that maybe it wasn't the best idea to do such a big piece of glass. And if you look at light aircraft, you'll see there's not a lot of planes with a small piece of glass. So I'm going to come back to this a few times. I was quite young when I designed it. I was quite naive about certain aspects, and I was a designer. So there are some beautiful ideas, but there are also some challenges here that we recognized late in the process, and then I can talk about them today and say that we're bringing them into the new concept that we're doing. Other things, I mean, the low wings in the water, we have air lubrication in the hull, we have a carbon composite landing gear, which is quite unique. We have an open cockpit system, so it's a very compact piece of information to the pilot. The rest is open. We've got a hybrid system in this plane, or there's not one in it right now. We tested it electric, but we were planning to make it hybrid because in 2010 we didn't have the batteries. We didn't have available the technologies that we have today. So the hybrid was a natural progression for us in this project. And then engine mounting on the tail, of course, complicated, but it's still a novel and good idea, I guess, in certain aspects. But we've learned so much through this process, and I've come out with the team as sort of a smarter group of people, I think, that have understood some of the limitations that go into designing planes. And that's what I think the new concept that you will see tonight entails, more of these smart solutions rather than trying to innovate and work on every single aspect. Because the next phase we went into, which is the ground testing phase, once the plane was done, it started to show why it's problematic to bring to bear so many new things in the same platform. I'm trying to solve everything in this plane. I'm trying to solve 10 different issues. And it's crucial to test things in a separate manner in aviation, because a person is going to sit inside this plane, and I'm going to throw this plane through the air at 250 kilometers per hour, and he has to be able to control it and survive that flight. And if you try to understand that, you also understand that you don't want to put that person into too many new positions. So a control system, we had a fly-by-wire rudder on the thing. Do we want to test that in a novel plane with lots of other new things? No. So things were changed during the ground testing, because here we were on the runway and we're actually trying a lot of these new things. And what happened? Well, I understood immediately, because I was in the plane doing some of these things, and I understood, wow, I can't put a person through this. I can't make him learn how to fly a plane in a new way, with a new propulsion system, with a new airframe, and every other factor being completely unknown to him when he starts flying. That was the revelation. And thus, the ground testing process took almost 2 years, and that surprised me a lot. It's kind of a flip of the psychology in a way, that you can think you learn so much from 10 minutes of flight, and you need years on the ground preparing, because you need to know that the plane is 100%. It can't be 99% when you send somebody flying for the first time. So this was a crucial period in the process, and it just took way longer than I thought. It's also a learning in certification, because in the process we weren't really good at communicating with the government, CAA, etc. So during the ground testing, we had to sort of revert back to documenting a lot of the processes that we'd been through years before. And that also took ages and years. I'm not saying anything bad about the CA, because, I mean, it's psychology. A person has to sign off on the thing. So he has to know exactly what's going on, or her, or she has to know. And that means that she or he needs to have that in front of them and be persuaded that this is 100%. So of course that's going to take time. So I learned a lot, and we learned a lot about certification during those 2 years. But it almost broke the project, because we were ready to fly 2 years prior. So this is, of course, a very tough lesson to learn during our process. And then we come to the great topic, which is sort of the most crazy experience of my life, is flight testing the thing for the first time. Eskil Amdahl, the test pilot, is an amazing person. I mean, there are not many people on this earth, actually, that would set themselves in a completely new plane and trust the team that has built it. But this guy did, and he is a special type of individual, I'd say. The test flight is a combination of everything you've done, and because it took so many years to get to that point, I think it was an extra load on the team, because we were like, I think everybody was surprised at how many factors need to come together on a certain day to make that happen. And yeah, it's something to, it's hard to explain. I think you culminate all your positive emotions with all your fears, and you end up sort of like a zombie on the day. So it's an expressionless experience, but it went well. The plane performed quite well. And in this next footage, it's actually stuff that we haven't published at all online, where you can see more or less the fourth test flight, where we did a gear retraction for the first time. And I think the fun thing with this footage is a little bit more, this is stuff that we use for our analysis. So it's not something that we publish normally. But what you can see here is sort of the angles, you can see the panel, what's going on with the sensors. And we've also cross-cut this with me personally filming from the chase plane. So I always dreamt of flying the plane. I never got the chance, or I haven't got the chance yet, but I was at least able to be quite close in this flight. When we test fly, you choose a few parameters that you want to do on each flight. So there's a very tight program that we have to go through to do testing. And it's linked very heavily with certification. So if anybody wonders why certification seems to be expensive and seems to break projects all the time, it's because you have about 10,000 detailed points. Not necessarily in these GA aircraft, but in larger aircraft, you have a lot of points you want to test. And for every test you do, you can't do more than a few. So you have to fly many, many, many hours, and you do an incrementally sort of set plan where you make it harder and harder in a way. So you don't go straight into a stall and see if the plane falls okay. It's sort of very slow, kind of incrementally worse performance test that you actually do. And in this footage you can also see some of these wool threads along the side of the plane, and those are there to sort of indicate whether or not the airflow is detaching from the plane and how they detach. And it's quite interesting because you can see that it's quite bad on this plane, and we knew it was going to be some of it, but we didn't know it was going to be that big. So what you have to do then is to create a geometry that is sort of it's a fairing geometry. So you try to create sort of something there for the air to attach to. So that's something that would make the plane a little bit more efficient, actually. And pulling in the gear for the first time, that was sort of a big thing as well. It's always a bit of a nervous time. Just make sure the gear goes in, comes out again, and but the amount of details and things that have to come together on the day, I mean, it is substantial. It's not like you can just roll the plane out and start testing. It really is a lot of people on the ground. We've got people at the end of the runway, or the start of the runway. We've got people on the water down there on the boat in case he ditches the plane. People chase plane, of course, people in the air following him to see if everything's okay. There's so many things. And the team was quite new to this, so it's all kind of learning by doing. And the test pilot, of course, helped us a lot on providing sort of a foundation for how we should do this. And all of it happened under the Norwegian CAA. And in Norway, I think most of you are aware that we don't have a lot of aircraft industry. So it's not like we could lean on existing processes, existing projects. We had to sort of invent the way that we do this in this country, in a way. So that was quite an interesting process. But luckily, the CAA is full of people that are willing to take that step and do these things. And that's how we managed to make it happen together. So I'm coming to a point now that has also not been published, and that is one of the biggest learnings of this project altogether, and that is the sea trials of this plane. As you might not notice it when you see it, but many of you know that this is a seaplane. It was always conceived as a seaplane. But the problem was that the configuration, the geometry, the low wings, everything we planned didn't work out the way we planned to make it work out. And we could never really get this flying the way it is from the sea. And this footage has never been shown public. Part of that is because I myself have personally had problems with this footage because it's really painful. You have a vision, you can do something if you see what you want to do, but my vision was not what happens in this footage, which is basically the wing catches the bow wave and we basically pull the wing down into the water. And that is I cut away actually all the footage of me in the boat shouting swear words as this was happening, because it was we had been out to sea quite a few times during this process, and this was sort of, you can see there are some modifications on the aircraft already. We spent some time trying to fix part of it, but this needed a much, much bigger fix. So the biggest takeaway from that process is that we do more scale, subscale model testing, way more. When it comes to the seat part, it's very cheap for a company to build these 20%, 25% scale models and put them in the water and verify. And that's what we've been doing at Elfly now for 1.5 years. We've tested 5, 6 different hull geometries. We've worked on these scale models, and we're going to continue actually throughout 2023 developing these scale models for this precise reason. I'm never in my life going to experience the same disappointment from a concept. But what I'm really happy about is that this foundation and the group that has been a part of developing this, which has been, of course, my father and John on a daily basis. You're sitting up there now, so I can't really bring you onto stage, but I want to thank you guys, because without you, it wouldn't have been possible. And thank you for the internet, because we've been on the internet looking for solutions, right? When you don't know something, you ask the internet, and you ask for help, and you get help. So during the process, I think we have about 60 names on the list of people that helped out getting this plane to work. And it flew very well, so we have to bring that into the equation as well. Yeah, so that's the story I wanted to tell a little bit about this plane, and I think we're going to do a small Q&A if somebody's interested in asking a few questions. There's microphones in the room, I think.
Yeah, we have one mic down here, and we have one mic upstairs. So if somebody wants to have some questions about the P2 project, we can have a few if you want. Because I like to have a dialogue with you people, because it's an interesting way of, there are probably some of you who wonder stuff about this plane, and I usually sometimes say it, and I feel bad when I say it, this is a successful failure, right? Because we are standing here today because of this, so it's a success. But Tomas is not very happy with how it turned out, because it was not, a lot of work. Any questions? Upstairs?
Yeah.
Because we're streaming it, so you need to speak into the mic.
Yeah.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. What was the initial goal of designing the aircraft? Was it, you said that you had like 10 new things that were never done. Was it sort of an academic research on aerodynamics, for example, or was it, did you have a commercial goal in mind, or?
Yes, absolutely commercial, because I felt like the light aviation market hadn't moved much at all over the last 100 years. And I felt like getting into flying is too complex. So the founding idea was to make sort of a simplified flying experience where you get more of the experience of flight rather than focusing too much on instruments and all these processes, checklists that you have to go through. So the idea was to make sort of an automated platform that could be easier to learn. And the idea was also, if you can make an efficient seaplane, and that's the reason why it's low wing, if you can make an efficient seaplane, why would you choose a land plane if you can go and land on water? So it would be quite an interesting commercial idea, I think. If it had worked on water, it would have been. And I think with a few tweaks, it can still work. And you shouldn't look away from the fact that I think that we will in the future do a lot of different aircraft, I think.
Maybe a lot of seaplanes.
I think so. So
good question.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? No, I think we'll continue then, and this is where we come over to this plane, right? Because I was introduced to Tomas by his project here, and I was a bit amazed by the things they were able to do with limited resources and a very skilled, excellent team. And I love small teams that have the possibility to execute. So I was intrigued, and I must say that I grew up in Bergen, right, in Norway, and I grew up like 200 meters from the seaplane base in Sandviken. So I grew up seeing the seaplanes coming and going, and they were delivering the newspapers when I was a kid to the whole west coast of Norway. And during I grew up, they disappeared. And we're going back to that. But so I've always been interested in seaplane. And I have a pilot license myself, and I think I'm a bit damaged by growing up by this seaplane base because I wanted to go flying. And I talked to Tomas, and during the years we started to talk more and more about the possibilities of doing electric aviation and also the possibilities of seaplane. And then suddenly this project here appeared. And Tomas and Renninge and Leidulf had found a combustion engine race plane and said, okay, we can take this plane and make this plane a pure electric one and do air race, because there is a company, Air Race E, that wants to do like Red Bull racing or pylon racing with electric planes. And then that brilliant team started on the task of let's take this and convert it. And now Tomas will talk a bit about this project, because this project also brings us into this test device where we are testing technology and stuff. So Tomas, please explain a bit about the race plane.
Oh, need to go back one slide, sorry. Yeah, air racing. I'm not sure everybody knows what it is. I mean, the aviation people in the room definitely know, because this is sort of a tradition from way back. The people fly 8 planes around the circuit, really close together, and the goal is to be first over the line. And I think actually, who I wish was here today, the test pilot, to talk about this. He contacted us and said, you know, it's this new venue and it's going to be interesting. Can we do something? And then about a year later, we got a hold of a plane in Norway that had been sitting more or less still for many years. This plane, I had to censor what it says there because it says bad words. So it's that kind of venue. But it's interesting because it's this you could call it like Formula One racing kind of venue. And I believe in pushing technology by pushing the limits. So I thought that we could learn a lot and we could utilize a lot of the stuff we learned from this project and do a way more efficient project here. Because this is a conversion project, right? We haven't designed the plane. It's a cassette 3M from the US. It was designed in the 60s, 50s, 60s. And the guy who designed it, Mr. Cassett, I can't remember his first name. Øystein, you probably know his first name. But yeah. Anyways, I heard, for instance, that the size of the wings, which is only 2 meters on each side, is based on what kind of plywood they had at Home Depot. So it's basically the sheet of plywood they had. So it says something about like the origins of this plane. And the same goes for the tail size and everything on this plane. It's just about early days air racing, really. And I think, yeah, the test pilot, he has flown over 70 different types of planes, but he actually says this is the absolute worst and most scary plane to fly because it's constant energy. You cannot let this thing go slow. You have to land it fast, take off fast. Everything happens above 100 knots, which is almost 180 kilometers per hour. And it flies relatively easily up to 350 something because it's very light and it has a quite a big energy storage compared to the size. So in this project, we actually we built the battery packs based on modules that we got off the shelf. And our battery engineer, Ramondas, he did a great job on building that pack. Yeah, we'll see if anybody have any questions after on that, we can talk about it. I'm a little bit afraid to go too deep technical in things, but you can kind of see a quick overview of how this kind of thing looks. It's a battery that goes all the way from there to there. And then there's a motor that is just this big, right? It's just hanging on the front there. It says something about what the challenges are in electric planes. It's the battery weight. The EPUs are mostly small, light, and very efficient. But you have these batteries that take space and are very heavy. And the cooling system below there, and then you have an inverter. And this plane was it actually just came out of the workshop with a new cooling system, because what we want to do with it right now is to try to break this sub 500 kilo world record with it. And we needed more cooling, because on hot summer days, this thing got quite hot. It wasn't big enough. So now we've got a new cooling system for it. A little bit images from that process, ripping off the combustion engine, putting on the bay for the batteries, trying to fireproof everything and get it certified. Not certified, but experimentally certified. In this project, we had communications with the CAA from day one. We had a really good system. We got a flight permit after 7 months. This project took 7 months. So it shows this very steep learning curve of how you implement new projects and how you do these things. So this was quite an efficient and quick project. We also do interfacing. So we have people that work on interfaces, working on the stuff that the pilot sees, which is also quite an important factor to take into bear. So you have to get into software and all these details, not just hardware. My main topic is the hardware, but we also deal with the software. So I'm going to show you just a quick video now of the first flight for this and some interview with Renninge, but everything is in Norwegian, and I also say a few things there in Norwegian, sorry. But we'd like to thank our sponsor, Evini, which has helped us bring this project to bear. So this is their little video. Yeah.
Flyet er bygd for en ting, og det er å fly fort. Det blir veldig spennende å prøve elektrisk drift. Det skal være med på noe som kalles formula-klasse racing, som er en veldig populær sport i USA, der 8 fly starter samtidig og flyr om kapp. Og det flys sånn cirka 50-100 fot over bakken, så det er veldig spektakulært.
Noen mørke vinterkvelder når jeg har gått gjennom snøen ut i denne lille garasjen hvor vi bygde det første elflyet, hvor jeg nesten hørte den der melodien bak i hodet og tenkte at det blir ikke mer Reodor enn dette her. Nå er vi i en prosess hvor vi prøver å få profesjonalisert mye mer og lage mye bedre systemer, og forhåpentligvis så blir disse lokalene her fylt med mye mer mennesker i neste året som skal inn i bransjen og være med oss og vokse da. Og det er ingenting som er større i den prosessen enn å se disse kreasjonene ta av for første gang. Det er en helt spesiell og unik opplevelse å se noe sånt.
Jeg tenker at dette virkelig er starten, og jeg tenker at dette er en nødvendig prosess for å få utviklet teknologien. Det er jo gjerne sånn at i racing så presser vi litt grensene og utvikler teknologi som senere kan brukes til andre formål, kommersielt eller skoleflyging eller generelt elfly. Det er veldig kult at vi får dette til i Norge. Det er pionervirksomhet. Det er kompetanse i Norge til å gjøre dette og få dette til. Og det er veldig gledelig at det skjer i Norge, til tross for at vi ikke har en tradisjonell flyindustri her. Men vi har veldig mange flinke ingeniører.
Yeah, so good to get a word in from Renninge as well. He's been the guy behind this project, really pushing.
Yeah, and also Leidulf from Stavanger. Yes. And we were thinking to have some Q&A about this plane too. If anyone wants to ask any questions, we have the mics here. Somebody wants to ask about the race plane?
No.
Yeah? No. Over there. Could you bring the mic? You have to run, Raimondas. Yeah, I know he's a runner. He trained a lot, so.
Yeah, hi. It's just a short question, really, but I'm just interested to know a little bit more about the motor. It looks so small to power. I know it's a small plane, but still, how many kilowatts? And can you tell a little bit more about it?
Yeah, sure. It's a MRAX 268, so it's the same motor, or the core motor, that has been used in the Electro Velis. So it actually can produce up to 200 kilowatts. A lot of electric motors can produce very high energy loads, but it comes down to cooling. So this is limited quite a lot by us now to 85, which is almost the same as it was on a combustion engine. The difference from the Electra Velis is that this is much lighter. So we're talking 450 kilo, 425 kilo max takeoff weight. And that's why you can go so fast, because it's very sleek and it's very light. But like we said, we had some heating issues, so we're already trying to push to get like a lower temperature on things. Mostly on the inverter side, but it's good to be safe on everything. Yeah.
Good question. Anyone else?
Please don't be shy.
Yeah, there is another. Yeah.
Yeah. There or there. Yeah.
The battery on this one. If you take away the weight of the pilot and the plywood and everything, it totals to 450 kilos, you said. So how much is left for battery?
Yeah, it's 110 kilos approximately. There are about 103 of these modules of 20 batteries. So there are over 2,000 1865 cells. These were cells that typically were used in Teslas in the beginning. Now they use bigger cells, but about 2,000 of those, 18 kilowatt hours plus minus. 18 kilowatts, 18 kilowatt hours. Yeah.
And we have a question upstairs.
Hi, Thomas. Could you say a little about the possibility to take world record speed for planes underneath below 500 kilos?
Yes. So many of you, at least from the aviation side, probably know that Rolls-Royce broke the world record for electric planes with a substantially high speed, but it was a very big and heavy plane. This one in the category sub 500 could easily break the record for that class. So that's really what we want to do now next, is to get that record, because I think it would be a nice milestone for the team, because Air AC hasn't happened. Nobody else has built planes yet, so we don't have anybody to race against. And in the meantime, we are sort of focusing on air shows and this speed record as sort of a milestone thing that we can actually do and achieve.
You want to try to do a speed record with this before the summer holidays, but let's see. It's up to Renninge with the final word. He's the test pilot. We have a question down here.
Yeah.
First of all, congratulations on this big day. I was just wondering, what do you think are the main advantages of going for such a test plane at this moment in time?
Well, there's a lot of engineers and designers that come into the team, right, and they don't have the hands-on experience with things. So I think it's always valuable to have projects downstairs that people can take part in, not on a daily basis, but a little bit, and get some of the feeling of what it's like to work with this kind of hardware. So that's the most valuable thing, I think, and I think many of the team members can testify. It's fun to work on this project next to the big commercial plane that takes most of the time. I think it's nice to have this kind of projects going. Yeah.
It's learning by doing, and I like it to test stuff that we learn actually to get our hands dirty, right? And it's interesting when you go into the process of this kind of fly with the Renninge inside, then you have to be really sure that everything is okay, right? Yeah. And that's something that gives the team an edge.
And you shouldn't underestimate the test flights, action, and all these processes we have to go through, that people get a feeling for what it takes. Yeah. It doesn't really matter the size of the plane, right? There's one pilot on board usually anyway, and it has to be safe, and it's the same factors you go through every time. Yeah.
Another question? Upstairs, yes.
Nice.
Yeah, congratulations. I wonder what do you think about commercialization about this airplane?
So actually, we were actually asked if we could participate in some projects, but since we met for the first time, we've been talking about larger commercial transports. And the reason for that is that we both believe that there's a starting point for where things really become, let's say, factors that change society, right? So it needs to be transport airplanes. So for now, we're not going to try to commercialize the light planes. We're more going to use the technology and the experience to build bigger solutions. I think the big impact that happens from 10 seats and up, when you can start traveling, bring people from A to B, and that's what we want to unveil tonight. So yeah.
We want to make a passenger commercial plane to change the way you transport. That's the thing. But we have a question upstairs.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe a strangely specific question, but I've been flying personally the electric Phalis myself for the last 2 years now on a regular basis.
Nice.
So you mentioned that the motor is the same, and then how does the battery pack compare? Is it like a lot heavier or maybe lighter, or in the range?
I think your Velis has double, or do you know the weight of the Velis or the battery pack? Because
I don't know the specific weight of the battery pack, but it's certified for 600 kilos, but it's also for 2 persons, so it could be comparable in weight.
I think it's actually comparable. You probably have a little bit more, but you have also a very efficient slow flyer, so it's made more for the range and the time in the air. This one was designed purely for full gas for 6 minutes. I forgot to say that. So the cells are not the highest capacity cells. It's the cells you need to push the most energy out in the shortest amount of time.
With a high discharge rate.
Yes, high C rate, exactly. And that's what this plane was built for. So we did not consider long flights or anything like that. It's up, loitering for 2 minutes, full speed, 6 minutes, with good temperatures and everything, and high speeds, and then loitering and landing and finished. That's what the ARAC was planned to be. So it definitely has a different mission than the Velis, where you try to fly cross-country for an hour or something like this. Yeah.
Right, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
But it's interesting that batteries, people think about this as batteries, but there are batteries for high output, and there's batteries that's good for fast charging, and there's batteries, so there is different chemistries, and the battery technology is improving all the time, but it's a lot of different things you can go shopping.
Actually, these same cells are used in Formula E, so that's the way we got to select these cells, was through the information about the Formula E. Because you can imagine if you are in an electric car and you push the accelerator down and try to keep a Tesla accelerator down for 6 minutes, full gas. Just try that one time. What would happen to your Tesla, do you think, Eric?
It starts to shut down. I tried it at the Autobahn, I had a Model X, and I tried it at the Autobahn. And after not many minutes, it starts to say that you have to loosen down on the gas pedal because it's going to get hot.
And that's the big difference between cars and aviation in electric, is that you're working much, much higher power levels for longer in the takeoff, especially in takeoff and climb phase. So you have these extra challenges of balancing C rate against capacity and these things. Yeah.
Any more questions down here? Nothing? Anyone up? It's hard to see with the light, so
no.
If there's no more questions, we're gonna have a break until 3 o'clock, and I would like you to get something in your glass, get something to eat, relax, and we'll be back on the webcast too for the people who's following out in the world.
Yes, thank you, by the way.
Bye-bye. Look at that.
Till the sun will rise. Oh Lord, I know we fight some fire, but you every kind of energy. Uses up my type A personality, and I'ma go and let it happen. Ooh, I think I like it. Ooh, don't wanna fight it. With my head in my heart in my body, all working together finally.
It's a sunny day. It's so bright, so bright, so bright. It's a sunny day. It's so bright, so bright, it's so bright. It's a sunny day. Let's take a walk in the woods, take your mind off your shoe. Let's take a walk up to the moon, take your mind off your shoe. Come on, darling, follow me, you will see. Come on, baby, today is a good day. 'Cause it's a sunny day. It's so bright, so bright, so bright. It's a sunny day. It's so bright, so bright, it's so bright. It's a sunny day. Follow me, you will see. Come on, baby, today is a good day. 'Cause it's a sunny day. It's so bright, so bright, so bright. It's a sunny day. It's so bright, so bright, it's so bright. It's a sunny day.
don't want to forget. Everything's fine that happened to us. You know what it feels like. Nobody could deny. So I don't wanna end what has already begun. Like I'm in love again.
road you know, and through the trouble that you cry, here on the road you go. And all people just won't come back until tomorrow. And all people just won't come back until
Hallo! Da må folk begynne å tenke på å finne noen plasser. Everybody needs to find a seat somewhere. I hope you have something in your glass and have had interesting discussion with some of the fantastic people that are here today. We are soon coming to the main event of today, the unveiling of the new seaplane design that we will show you. And the team and us are very proud of it. But as I say to the team a lot of the time, we need to have a business case. And to have a business case, you need to have customers. And I have to emphasize this, we are not building planes to sell them. We want to operate them. We want to have something called an AOC and run the planes ourselves. That's the initial idea now. And that's because we want to do innovation in the whole value chain of aviation by producing the plane, operating the floating airport, the whole value chain. So we want you as the customer in our plane. And after the unveiling, we're going to have the virtual reality sets here. And you can test to be inside the plane afterwards. Sorry for the people who are watching, you can't see this at home or at your office, but the people who are here can try to be inside the full-scale plane in the VR version. And that's because we want you as an end customer, right? We want you to be happy to be inside that plane. And if you've tried it once, we want you to go with our new transport system every time, because it's zero emission, low noise, and take you from the city center to the city center. So that's why I want to introduce some of the customers we have. And since we're not flying a plane yet, we have made what the aviation industry always do, have these letter of intent. The people that want to buy a plane signs up for 200 planes or something. We haven't signed up for tickets yet, but we have some of the local municipalities of the west coast of Norway that will tell us a bit about how it is to live on the beautiful fjord and what they have of needs and why they are working with us to help us to make a product that they want for their local businesses and their local people that lives there. So first I want to introduce Marita Lindvik. She's the CEO of Visit Nordfjord, and she will tell us a bit about Nordfjord, and maybe you want afterwards to go there because it's a very beautiful place. So Marita, please come.
Thanks for that introduction, and also thanks for the invitation. I want to take you back home to my hometown, Stryn in Nordfjord, for some minutes. And I wish you all welcome to see this movie with me. Nordfjord is situated between the largest mainland glacier in Europe and Norway's wildest coast at the Western Cape, with spectacular mountains and valleys. Its rolling farmland and dramatic coastline, Nordfjord all in one fjord. There are many positive sides to tourism, but the industry is also faced with challenge. Trend shows tourists want to visit destinations that are committed to work systematically towards a more sustainable tourism. Destination that develops preserving local communities and cultural heritage, and reducing the environment footprint from tourism. Through the national strategy, we have a fantastic roadmap. With this strategy, we have a common thread. We are moving in the same direction. Common goals which are higher value creation and lower climate essentials. This is the marching order we have given each other, and we will succeed together. We have embarked on a process of continued improvement. Sustainable destination is recognized by the Global Sustainable Tourist Council and is the Nordic region's only national label scheme for traveling destination. It's a tool for sustainable development of businesses and destinations when it comes to the environment, the local community, and the cultural heritage and the economy. Nordfjord is in process of being labeled as a sustainable destination, all out. It's not yet 100% sustainable in every way. The label indicates that the destination is working systematically with sustainable development. Nordfjord aims to reduce tourism negative footprint and increase tourism positive ripple effects for the Nordfjord region. We aim to be a good place to live and visit today and in the future. We have embarked on a long-term process where the destination will be evaluated every third year. So, by looking at this map, with the fjord stretching through the Nordfjord region, and with the valleys, Lodalen, Oldedalen, you can see there, we are a rural destination of beaten track with a challenging road system due to the tall mountains and the deep fjords we live in. To be able to live in this area, we depend completely on good, safe, and efficient transport solution. And in 2023, we also need this solution to be green. And with that as a backtap, 75% of the climate footprint comes from the transport sector. Then we must work to develop green alternatives and make it easy for visitors to use green transport solution. So why electric seaplane? We believe that the collaboration with Byfly can allow the region to significantly improve transport services and thus support sustainable communities, and also provide residents, businesses with the opportunity to effectively and flexibly reduce some of the harmful emissions for the transport sector. The solution could have many positive ripple effects, such as increased number of visitors through the year, more competitive businesses, could prevent the urbanization trend, shorter travel time, and also reduction in emissions from the transport sector. And it could be maybe be important for the patient transport. Nordfjord is well suited for L-plane. It fits our structure. It's small, flexible solutions. I hope you have enjoyed traveling for a few minutes now with me back to my hometown, Nordfjord. And I just have to say what it stands there. You have to be here to believe it. Need some sound? Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Marita.
Thank you.
I just want to ask one question. How long time does it take to drive to Bergen from?
5 hours around there.
5 hours. And that's about 1 hour flying time for us. And that's interesting. So we cut that that time by 4 hours. And we don't need to use the airport, so we can use a lot of the different destinations along the fjord. That's some of the things we've been discussing. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now I will get Trygve Bolstad from Ullensvang Municipal and the Hardanger region to come here and talk about their bad roads. And hope there is somebody from Samferdselsdepartementet here. No, please come.
Thank you for that, Eric. Why is it interesting for us to participate in this? This is an industry in the making, and we like that. In 1906, industrial development started in Odda. Sungas Company, a British company, started production of calcium carbide to make gas for the carbide lamps in the mines in UK. It lasted 100 years and created thousands of jobs through the years. We expanded from 400 citizens to 5,000 in 1 year. Ullensvang municipality today is also undergoing rapid development. Our advantages given to us by the nature is the foundation of the businesses. Our fjords, our waterfalls and mountains are great for business, but also for recreation and tourism. We have a great development in various industries. We are Norway's orchard, and we have a unique juice and cider production. And we have a fruit industry, big fruit industry. We have a large marine fish farming sector, strong agriculture, and world-leading heavy industries. We have nature that takes your breath away. We have a nationally romantic landscape with great possibilities. We want to become the leading tourism municipality in the country. At the same time, we host the largest power production in Westland of green energy. The value creation in energy is enormous. Industry, we have Boliden Odda is a zinc factory. It's expanding now as we speak and becomes the world's most environmentally friendly zinc plant. An investment of 9 billion kroner. In addition, Eramet in Tyssedal will carry out a major development, 5 to 7 billion, where hydrogen is used as a reducing agent in production instead of coal. This will create as a record-breaking climate effect. From an emission of 270,000 tons CO2, they will reduce their emission to about 10,000 tons. At the same time, the Hardanger Hydrogen Hub is planning an equally large investment with production and underwater storage of hydrogen. I have a lot more positive things I could say about Ullensvang municipality, but you have to come there to see for yourself. We have a letter of intent with the Elfrey Group, and there's a reason for that. We live in a fjord and mountain country. We would need a lot of bridges and a lot of tunnels if we should get a lot shorter distance to Bergen. We live about 2.5 hours drive from the nearest airport, which is in Bergen or in Haugesund. It's about the same time to drive to both those airports. We have a road network that is out of date. No, I forgot to change the pictures here. And we are working constantly to improve our roads, but it takes time. I think we have been trying for the last 30 years, but with very small improvements. The great value creation we have comes in spite of the roads, not because of them. The roads are narrow, curvy, and very embarrassing to present for tourists that comes to the region. This is a national road. It's the same. It's what you call a riksvei in Norway. It's a national road. This is our industries. This is Eramet in Tyssedal. And we see the hydrogen factory will be situated at the bottom of the fjord here. This is Boliden that builds the new zinc factory, starting up the first step in 24. So we need a better, safer and faster way to get to the airports. We need an acceptable, safe way to the nearest place, nearest big town, which is Bergen. Today we must drive for 2.5 hours to get to an airport. Eric here tells me that he can do that in 20 to 25 minutes. I hope he's right. We see the letter of intent with the Airfly Group as a possibility to get fast and safe access to Bergen Airport, and sometimes in the near future, maybe to Oslo Airport also. Thank you for your attention. And now I'll just show you some beautiful pictures from the municipality. We have a lot of mountains. At the bottom of the glacier here, we have Michelin chefs running a restaurant here with very good food. This is Buar Glacier. Skiing, Boliden by night. Downhill skiing, a lot of crazy people skiing down the hillsides. Fruit. A little bit nervous about this picture. Maybe an advertisement for the cider, but it's apple juice up there we see. That's the view of Odda, the center of the Municipal. That's the fjord out from Odda and the fjord that ends in the North Sea. Trolltunga is an icon for tourists. 85,000 tourists visited Trolltunga last year. It's a 22 kilometers hike. So thank you for your attention, and I hope you will visit us someday.
Thank you, Trygve. Nice that you could come here, and all that fjord I see. I see that as airports.
Yeah, they look beautiful, eh?
Yeah, they look beautiful, and since we can come there with low noise and direct access to the Odda center, or the other places along the fjord, I think it's a great possibility for the people to live there, to get really fast in and out.
Yeah. I look forward to fly with very low sound over these fjords and mountains.
And that's one of the business requirements we are actually working on, to have a low noise propeller, because we want it to don't pollute noise either. So zero emission means that we want to reduce the noise to the lowest we can get. Thank you very much, Trygve. So, we're getting ready to the big thing, closing in. And yeah, it's my turn to say something. Why are we here again? Let's see if I can use this one. So, what I was trying to get the message here is that Norway has beautiful nature and a lot of bad roads. And we love our country and love to live on all these fjorder og nes, the places along the side. And the Norwegian people uses all the country, and that's one of the good things about Norway, and we want people to continue to live by the fjord. But then we need to give them access to what is the good thing about the big cities and the big hospitals, and to go traveling in the world, and to reduce the time of travel. That's what we want to do. But we want to do it zero emission and sustainable for our planet for the future, right? So we need to change something here. And I said Norway is quite perfect for electric aviation on a seaplane, because all the fjords you see on that map, I see it as a potential airport. And we don't have to destroy any nature. We don't have to build a big complex. We don't have to make a highway or make a railroad. Those things are great, but to build it makes emissions, and it takes a long time to build, and it's not flexible. So what we want to do with the seaplane is to access all those fjords and water basins for the people who lives there. And in Norway, we are 5.5 million people, but we consume aviation that we were 10 times more people. We're like 55 million consumers of aviation. And that means that we use it as a bus. And I think that we can get that done with zero emission for all those short hops. If you look at the route network of Norway, a lot of them are very short. And that is where we can go first and foremost with zero emission planes. And in the company, we're a bit romantic, because when we were starting this project and we looked into the past, right? And it's funny, because the airline company over here, Norwegian Airlines, is one of the first ones in Norway, and it was flying mail from Oslo to Göteborg and then to Copenhagen. And it's a flying boat, and it's their commercial poster, right? But it's interesting to see that it was a seaplane aviation with flying boat that was the start of aviation in Norway. And the seaplane base in Bergen is the oldest airport in Bergen, actually. It's the first one. So we've started this project and discussed a lot with Tomas, what is the problem? Why aren't there anybody doing seaplanes today? And it's really hard to make money in aviation, and it's even harder with the seaplane. Because the seaplane of today, as you see the Cessna up there, that's a seaplane that's really made to be on land with wheels. And the problem is that it has nothing to do in the water at all, really. And you just adjust it and hope for the best. And that's a bad business case, and it's not optimal for sea operations. But it's what you have today. The Dornier Sea Star is a great project, but it's actually quite old because time has passed. So we were thinking about electric aviation, clean sheet design. And then we need to innovate. As Tomas was pointing out, one of his learnings from the P2 is not to try to do everything. We have to do the right things, and that's why we want to do a zero-emission electric engine, because a combustion engine needs to suck in oxygen, and then you suck in salt water, and that gives you maintenance. And we don't maintenance, and we don't want parts. And then it's the aspect of technology with materials, and that's a very important one, because you need to build a really light plane, and a plane that can be in saltwater conditions. So these are the points that we try to address, and going back in history to the old designs of the mid-war era. We did a lot of testing, and we've tested with a 20% drone. And as Tomas pointed out, we've tested, probably we're on the 9th hull or something. And we've done water testing at SINTEF in their sea tank up in Trondheim. We have a research program that we're a part of, and that's with the Norwegian Research Council, and NTNU, the Norwegian Technical School, is with us, and we have SINTEF, and we have Norwegian Titanium, which we look into the 3D printing of titanium parts. We have the Norwegian Airline, which is into maintenance and to get the plane up and running at all time, and OSM Aviation Flight School Academy. So they're partners in this research project, and what we show today is a bit of the output of that research about can we actually build a pure electric seaplane, and will this be feasible? So we've done a lot of testing, and it's really interesting to learn, because it's hard to make a seaplane, and it's hard to make an electric plane. So I think that we might sometimes be a bit crazy, but we will see. And we've looked into different kind of potential configurations of the cabin. And in the VR model, you will have a possibility to walk inside the plane and have a seat. And it's really cool the first time you do it, because we have huge windows, and we don't have a pressurized cabin. So it's a really nice experience to step inside the plane. And I usually say to my team, we have to love the business case and like the product. Because if we're going to do zero emission and save the planet, we need to be sure to actually be ready to say that we need to make money doing it. You see other companies that try to only be saving the planet, and you need actually to have two thoughts in your head at the same time. We need to make money and show that we can build something that is sustainable at both ends of this. And that is why the business cases matters. Because we can build a 9-seater and fly back in Stavanger, but we can't build a 13-seater and fly back in Stavanger. The batteries are too heavy. And then we have the pasienttransport, the transport of people that's going to go to the hospitals. That's public contracts that you can get, which is interesting. And then we have the connections from the Bergen Airport to Odda or to Stryn. And my dream is that somebody will sit in New York or sit in London and buy a ticket with, if it's Norwegian or British Airways or something, and then have a ticket to go to Odda. And then at Flesland, they change the plane with our plane and take the last leg with zero emission, low noise, and a seaplane. And also the possibility for the people living in the rural west coast of Norway to go very efficient out in the world through the big airports. Because we have an amphibious plane that is built first and foremost to go from sea to sea, but that can take out the wheels and land on a normal airport too. And then we also look into the cargo possibility to have 4 Euro pallets in the plane, huge door, and that's not a very important business case, but I like to have all these possibilities open because it's a bit easier to certify something without living souls on board when you talk to the certification EASA. And we're going to have the first meeting with them actually Monday. So it's really interesting, and the company is going into a really interesting new era now after this summer. The floating airport system is also something that's important. We don't talk that much about it now, but you need to handle people in a safe and good way on the water side and charge. So we can charge small boats and charge our plane there. And we can also give situational awareness and input to the pilots so they can do safe landings. And that's things we can have on the ground side of the plane instead of having them on the plane. Because to build an electric plane, it's one budget that triumphs everything, and that's the weight budget. Because gravity sucks. I mean, that's the problem. So the batteries are heavy, everything is heavy, so every time I get a good idea and I talk to the team, they're like, no, you can't have it in the plane. But you can have anything you want on the ground. So that's why we are also looking into this to make it safer and efficient to travel. And we are not selling the plane, as I said. So it's interesting to see that we are trying to find a business case within the ring of Bergen here. How can we make money with the plane we're building? And if the answer is we can't, then we won't do the project. But if it's possible within this 170-kilometer range to make money, we will try to achieve it. And we will go from there, because the battery technology is improving. So we know that for the future, we can fly longer and longer distance. And in my head, in the future, I will take a plane from the city center of Bergen to the city center of Oslo and don't go to the airport. That's my dream. Or if I want to go to Copenhagen, I could go from Bergen to Kristiansand, Kristiansand to Copenhagen in 2 legs. I think that the market of aviation with the younger generation is willing to have a bit struggle to have indirect flights instead of direct flights if they can do it real zero emission without destroying the planet. And that's a really important thing, that there is a change in the market, I think. And this is the example, like the golden nugget of the whole thing. It's like Bergen, Stavanger. I mean, there is 1 million people traveling between those two cities. And a lot of them uses planes today because it's a 20 minutes flight to 30 minutes flight. And it's going from the airport. So you have to get there and get everything, weight, security, and all that. As I say, we can go from the city center to the city center in 45 minutes-ish. And with some taxi time in the water, we can get you from city center to city center less than an hour. And I think we have a value proposition which is interesting for you as a consumer, because you don't really want to go to the airport. And if you could go from the city center, it's something you would enjoy more. And you're probably going to go to Stavanger city center. And if that's not, you could go to Sandnes if it's farther south. We don't need a big airport. And here is people that want to pay, and there is a lot of oil and gas and shipping and things that we can address as business customers. So we want to look into this. And then we have ecotourism, which is really interesting, because the people that we can fly, that actually going from A back to A, is tourists. And if we can start commercial operations with tourists, it's a way to get flying hours, and we have a possibility of having more seats in the plane and more revenue, instead of having a passenger with luggage going somewhere. And we are looking into these cases too, but it will be a stepping stone to get to the transport system we want to build. And our dream is that in 2030, we will have approximately 15 to 20 planes operational on the west coast of Norway. Or, to be quite honest, anywhere we can make money and do it. So we want this to expand. If we have a certified plane, it should be built in any factory that can build certified planes, so we can expand quickly and make travel something you can do with no emission. And that needs to expand quite fast, because the Earth is getting quite warm. I don't know if you're aware of this, but this is probably the coldest summer of the rest of your life. It's getting hot, and if you see the latest statistics of the heat in the Atlantic Ocean and stuff, it's really alarming. And if you want to sleep at night, don't look at it. Don't look up. Isn't that the movie? Yeah. So what is the big plan here? Is to build a prototype, fly it, and that's what we're going to unveil, the design of the prototype, full scale, 2025. That's a very hard goal, but we hope to achieve it. I hope we don't get delayed, but what I promise investors is that in 2030, we will be certified and we will be flying commercially. That's the goal. But everything we get before that is a bonus. But we will build 3 planes in our plan, because we know that you can't build 1 plane and certify it and fly commercially. That's not how it works. We need to build several planes, even that we have built 2 already. So, then we're getting closer to watching the unveiling. So, we have a movie and some things to happen. Thank you. We're very proud of it as a team. I mean, it's a great moment for us to unveil the design. And we call the plane Naomi. That's no emission, short for that. So that's the name of the test vehicle and the program, Naomi. It's a great name, I think. It's a name. No emission is the goal. And this is the tool to get there and to make people travel. I myself love to travel, and that's why we had the discussion. We need to to show that people are traveling. We're not building this as a dead device for something. I want you as the end user to travel and go places, meet people, like we are gathered here today. So that's why after now this program ends, we will have the VR thing. So the people that needs to leave first can try the VR thing and go inside the plane in virtual reality, in full scale, and have a seat and see how it is. And it's an amphibious plane, you see, with the wheels. It's a hull, we have been working a lot on it. And it's a wing that give it really, really short takeoff distance. We can use the kortbanen at the short runway net in Norway we can use. So we can go from airport to airport if we want. And we hope to transport paying passengers in 2030. And yeah. You like it? Yeah. I think it's a beautiful plane, and I really, really am looking forward to the day I can go on a trip with it. And I will invite you all, everyone now afterwards, to have a test in the VR, and then we will have dinner afterwards in some minutes and a party. So you're all invited there, and we can do some questions with me and Tomas down here. If somebody wants to have discussions with us about it. And this model, and you can take pictures and stuff, and we will rig up the VR thing for you to try inside the plane. So we invite you inside the plane. It's boarding in some minutes. So please enjoy the rest of the evening, and for those who leaves, have a nice trip home. And thank you for the people who have been watching. Bye-bye.
Mm.